Now, if I had been in on the planning process, I would have been able to just bring up in the planning meeting that it's not realistic to take this kind of a design and put it on that kind of equipment. I hope we've learned that lesson. I hope we're to the stage now in our planning sophistication that we get everybody involved in the plan before you execute the plan. So again, it's very important now to have each of those areas now begin working on support plans. All right, let's take a look at this whole area of strategy. Now again, you take each of your major objectives. You list that objective across the top of what I call an action page. And you say, here is our specific, measurable objective in the area of sales, say in the 5th year. Then you want to start looking at what strategies do you need to achieve those particular sales objectives. Now, what you do now is you create, you'll notice I'm continually creating another set of task forces. As you, by now you've already dissolved your purpose, environmental analysis, strengths and weaknesses and assumptions task force. Now you've taken the same group of people, added some more people in the organization. This thing's growing over time. Now you're bringing in, let's say you've got 8 key objectives. Now you've got a committee of 6, 7, or 8 people looking at each objective and saying, if that's our objective, then what should we do in the area of pricing? What should our packaging be? What should our channel of distribution be? How should we call on our customers? In other words, each specific team now is gathering information, is talking, discussing, and coordinating. And again, your meeting's going on. If we're on a one-week retreat, by now we're into about the 4th day. If you've chosen the luncheon or breakfast route, then you might be in your 4th or 5th month. But now you're having a good open discussion. Each person comes back and makes a report. You gather ideas from other people in the room, you go back and reconsider. But what you're doing is developing a strategy and game plan. You're looking at changes in your product mix, changes in your pricing policy, changes in your promotional strategy. Now, what we've learned is that you've got to keep a certain number of new products coming because the average life of the products that you're selling are not going to last that long. You're looking at what we're calling the planning gap. You've got to have a steady stream of new products, new ideas. The marketplace is not going to stay the same. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're not going to be selling exactly the same products you are right now. You've got to be working on what you're going to be selling in what I call the planning gap. All those things have got to be taken into consideration. Now, in that very important area of operational planning, and this is where what I call the old system of MBO really works. Now you set those very specific short-term targets. Here's where you can use PERT, program review technique, those kinds of things. Here's where I believe you can use zero-based budgeting. Your whole budgeting process comes in the short-term action stage. Too many organizations are letting the budget, which I think is the tail, wag the dog. Budgeting is nothing more than a tool to help you execute your overall strategic plan. You've said, here's our direction, here's what we want to accomplish, and then what the budgeting process is doing is in effect putting the money where your mouth is. You're saying, if we want those key end results, then we're putting money in that specific area. Then every manager in the corporation has the job to manage within his own particular budget. Here's where this whole area of self-control comes in. You don't have to sit on top of a manager every day of the year. So much time and money is wasted on control systems that you don't need. I've been in business long enough to know that you can beat every control system ever devised. Unfortunately, early in my career, maybe fortunately, I learned all these techniques. With a strategic planning and control system that's based on self-control, You just agree on desired results. Here's what you've got to accomplish, and here are the resources you've got to do to get the job done. If you're going to go out of any of those boundaries, you talk to me, your boss. If not, leave people alone and let them manage. Save all that money that you're spending trying to control the processes. Hold people responsible, hold them accountable to those key end results. That's, to me, is the key to this whole operational area. Now, the other thing that makes operational kinds of issues work properly is now you're executing the plan, and because everybody was involved in it, they are excited about executing the plan. If you don't have them involved in all the steps we've talked about, and then you lay this out on the table, call your group together, as happens so often, here's our plan, here's what you've got to do, here's your budget, go do it, then you've got half-hearted people looking around for other jobs and they're not excited. This is the boss's plan. This is the consultant's plan. You want it to be everybody's plan, and I'll guarantee you, boom, you've got that thing executed quicker than you'd ever believe. That, to me, is the key to an operational plan. Next in the book, I talk about this all-important area of appraisals and rewards. So many times this is left out of the strategic thinking of an organization. Now, what I'm proposing here is a reward system, both a short and long-term reward system. I've got 5 different companies and organizations on a performance appraisal and reward system that's outlined strictly from the book. And I want to cover those just in detail, a little bit of detail with you. The theory behind this is that organizational objectives have got to be achieved and individual objectives have to be achieved. Think about a sports team. How are sports teams rewarded? Well, you're rewarded if you go to the Super Bowl or the World Series. I've got what I call my reward opportunities. So a person's reward system is based on, well, how did the team do? I want to be a team player. But it's also based on how did I do as a particular individual. So if we go to the World Series, I bat .330, have a great year, then I should have high pay and high bonus. If the team finished in last place and I didn't do anything, then it's low pay and low bonus. But what you're doing is looking at the 4 different possibilities based on how you did and how the organization did. Another thing that I've come up with and is working very well in quite a number of organizations is what I call a MBO performance appraisal form. Here's where you take the negotiated, specific, agreed-upon objectives and you agree on what they are in a concept I call care and feeding of the boss, and I've also got a discussion in the reading section on that, care and feeding of the boss and care and feeding of the employee. If you want to care and feed your boss, you agree on what you're going to accomplish. If you're a boss and you want to care and feed the person working for you, let's agree on what's to be accomplished. Now, the whole idea of that performance appraisal system is for the 2 of you then to sit down and to agree on how you succeeded on doing what you agreed to do. Then I usually recommend having 10 effective, non-measurable areas, things that are important to the job, and rank yourself on how you're doing in each of those areas. So that could be in the area of like developing people, contribution to morale, communication, and creativity. You can use a numerical system then to come up with an index. So for example, on a scale of 1 to 5, my index might be a 4.425. Now we've agreed in a performance appraisal setting that this is what I should accomplish.